Hey, it's Cathy Johnson, and we're here for Yes, I Can Living, the podcast for and about entrepreneurial women. We're talking business with a dash of life, love, health, wealth, and faith. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it is Cathy Johnson, and we are back for another episode of Yes, I Can Living. Super excited to actually have you here with us today. I got one of my besties here with me. She also happens to be a sponsor of Faith Fueled, and she is the owner and CEO of Teva Bookkeeping Solutions. Nichelle Hensenflow. Huh, what was I thinking? I've known you for so long. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. And I can't wait to see you in person in a few weeks at Faith Fueled. You know, for those of you watching or listening, if you don't have your ticket yet, you're going to miss out on a special event. Lots of amazing women coming together to be together. Nichelle will be sharing there as well. It's going to be a great day. So faithfueledevent.com are the details. You can find it in the show notes. Anyway, Nichelle, let's start with you telling us a little bit about your story. How did you get into bookkeeping and eventually launch Teva Bookkeeping Solutions?
So I started when I was married, and I was doing the bookkeeping company on the side, and then I got divorced. I had a 3 and a 5-year-old. And I went out and got a job still doing my little bookkeeping company on the side. And having a job was restrictive, and daycare and all the pain points that single moms have. And so I basically worked 2 jobs. I built Teva up, and then I quit my regular job, and just my job was running Teva. And it was great. It allowed me to pick up kids after school, things like that. And then when both of the kids were in school all day long, I started to hire bookkeepers, get more clients. We started to grow, and that was my livelihood for years. And then my kids got older, high school age, going into college or thinking about going to college. And I switched careers to corporate. So I became a CFO of a law firm in the Bay Area. And I did that for a while, and then I decided to grow my little bookkeeping company that had taken care of me for so long. And we did a rebranding, we hired more bookkeepers, and we're back in action trying to grow. So here we are.
I love it.
Talking about bookkeeping and how we can help people.
Right. You know, I mean, it's early on. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. And for the first 10, I did not have a bookkeeper, and I tried to do it myself. Newsflash! Big mistake. You know what? Stay in your lane of brilliance. I'll stay in mine. Nichelle will stay in hers. And hiring a bookkeeper was, that was the best thing I ever did. So let me ask you this. You know, you and I have known each other a long time. I know where your faith journey is. You're sponsoring Faith Fueled. But how does faith and your personal values show up in how you serve your clients? Now, I know you are not a faith forward-facing business, but how do you incorporate that into what you stand for and what you do?
My values are, I really care about what I do, and I care about helping people in a financial world that most people have anxiety about or they don't understand. And so I really enjoy kind of taking them by the hand and showing them, here's what we do to help you. Here's what we do, how you can use what we do to go to the next level in your business. And I'm a believer in leaving people better than when you met them or found them. And so we try really hard. You know, our business is focused on small to mid-sized clients. So we have clients that outgrow us. It's not a bad thing. We served them well during their growth and transition periods. And that's actually a really good feeling, although it is a parting of ways. And so that's one of my favorite client stories, is that when we helped them get off the ground, and then they got so big that they had to, have a full-time bookkeeper or have somebody on site. And I think another value is compassion. And so I think as a woman entrepreneur and a leader, in professional and community, just leading with compassion and listening to what clients need, what employees are feeling. I have bookkeepers that are very conscientious, and they're trying really hard to solve problems and get things right, but we're all human and we make mistakes, and they'll send me an email, I'm so sorry I messed that up, I didn't see it, I'll try harder next time. And so just having compassion for that human piece of all of us.
Yeah well, and we all do have that, huh? 100%. So let's dive a little bit into the ideas of, small business owners, solo entrepreneurs, and bookkeeping. And it can be a very scary thought. What is one of the most common money mistakes that you see entrepreneurs making, or small business owners making?
I think money mistakes come from disorganization. So obviously linked to what I do, bookkeeping is about cleaning your room, Once you clean your room, you can figure out what clothes don't fit. You can find something that you lost long ago and didn't know was there. You can start to create a path. Maybe you want to change your furniture when I have the space to do it. So that's how I see bookkeeping in the realm of finances and making good money choices. And so I guess the most common is making a decision based on information that is incorrect. And so that's how you might go down a path, you might spend a ton of money and it doesn't pan out. And it's because there was something in your financials, you needed more clients first, you had an employee that wasn't as productive as they needed to be. And those are things that once you're organized, you can assess and take care of before you make the decision, and hopefully make a better decision around.
That's huge. And I'll just share a story, my own, when I said I was doing my own bookkeeping, right? And all that. There was a time period when I had the 2 magazines I was running, and I thought I was losing money in one area and I was going to shut it down. And when I really sat down with my CFO hat on, and looked at what it was, I wasn't losing money where I thought I was. I was making money where I thought I was losing, right? I would have I would have made some massive mistake if I hadn't done that. And not being on top of it, that would have been huge, right? So I think as the small business owner, or even as the solo entrepreneur, we wear all the hats. We are the CEO, the CFO, the COO, all the various things, right? So do you have any suggestions for business owners as far as, like having a regular meeting with yourself, or that CFO meeting with yourself, to really take a look at, what would be the important numbers that you should be looking at, other than the bottom line, whether it's black or red, you know what I mean?
Right. I think there's levels to accounting. Like I said, bookkeeping is, sometimes we focus on the highest level and we're not ready for that level yet. So the first level is bookkeeping. That's foundational. Organize your house, get reports that are correct and clean and organized. Then the second level, what you do with those reports is you can move into budgeting. So you're doing reports. The budget is saying, here's what I want to do with the money I have. And in June, I'm going to get 2 clients, and that means another $1,000. And so putting it in your budget is kind of, here's what I'm going to do in the upcoming year. That step alone allows you to do a report called an actual versus budget, and you can do that out of QuickBooks or most accounting softwares. And that tells you, are you actually doing what you plan to do? And if not, what changes do you need to make? Maybe your goal is 2 new clients a month, and last month you didn't get any new clients. Okay, well now you need 4, or you need 3 and 3, some combination. So that would be the next level. And then the next level after that is forecasting. What did I think I was going to do? What am I actually doing? And changing the numbers to say, here's what I see coming up in the future. You know, I'm going to speak on stage, and I have an opportunity to get 6 new clients. What does that mean number-wise to me? Does it mean once I close those deals, I can hire another person to help? I can hire the assistant, or does it mean that my paycheck actually gets to go up a little bit, which is always exciting. So there's different degrees. And then after that, you can get into ratios, which is comparing yourself to somebody else who's doing the same thing that you're doing. And I know a lot of times we say, don't compare yourself to somebody else, you know, do your own thing. And those things are true. But as a sanity check, or you know, could I be doing a little better? Could I be in that demographic? Could I offer this service that somebody else? So it's more of an awareness thing, I guess, than it is really comparing yourself to somebody else, but just being aware of what people are doing in your industry. And sometimes that can be eye-opening. What do you mean that person charges $100 more than I do? Maybe I could do that too. So it can be helpful when you get to that level, but it all sits on being organized and having the bookkeeping financials, because if you hire a fractional CFO, that's the first thing they're going to ask you for. If you hire any kind of business coach, it's the first thing they're going to ask you for.
Yep.
So if you want to elevate yourself, that's where you start.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think, you know, getting the, that, for those of you who are listening and like, you know, when all those steps, right? And well, let's, for those who are overwhelmed by the thought of even all of that, let's at least get the numbers in order, get the receipts out of the box, out of the shoe box, or the whatever, right? And I think when you're, you know, your numbers, like you said, I mean, you can make decisions from a place of empowerment, not out of fear. And I think that is essential for a business owner who's really serious about growing their business. You know, that we really need to empower ourselves with those numbers to be able to make those decisions, and to grow and to scale, and or even if you're wanting to just stay at the level that you're at, right? But you have a certain amount of income that you need to have coming in. So super important. Is there one habit or system that you can that you would suggest that would instantly make a business owner feel more confident about their money? Any particular thing that comes to mind for you?
A simple habit. So I think I think the best habit is to review your financial statements. I can hear people cringing. But it's important, because even if you just look at the profit and loss statement, it tells a story about your business. And my experience with clients is that they know their business hands down, from a touchy-feely. They know who their clients are. They know the service they're providing, their skill set. And when you look at your financial statements, that also tells a story. And sometimes you have to sanity check, or look in the mirror, if you will, to say, you know, is the money match the story? Back to like the sales example, I'm working my butt off. I have 35 clients, and my revenue's just not where I feel like it should be, where I want it to be. And so I think that's the one habit. Just get used to your story. It's almost like when you meditate and you listen to yourself and you get to know yourself, It's that kind of feeling and empowerment. And sometimes the picture is not pretty. And it's like I got myself into that marketing thing that it cost me a lot of money, but I'm not getting the sales. So, and then it's also very empowering. So
Yeah.
that would be the one, whatever it looks like, even if you're still working on cleaning it up, if you sit with it, one, you'll see, oh yeah, see this little space in my closet over here on the report? I need to clean that up. Something's not, the payroll's not posting correctly. So you get to see the good and the bad, I think, and
Right.
just getting to your story and what that means.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the whole empowerment thing by knowing it, even though it's scary. Let me ask you a little bit deeper. You talked about the story, right? And we all have, most all of us all have a money story that goes along with all of this, right? And the fear of the money. And I think sometimes faith-driven entrepreneurs may or may not even have a bigger story like, well, I'm not supposed to be making that kind of money in what I'm doing. Or, right? I mean, it's, what would you tell that person, getting from fear and avoidance around money, again, into moving into that confidence and empowerment? Is there any tip that you would have for somebody to really, other than looking at those numbers for sure? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but, anything you've done or anything you've counseled somebody else to do?
So disclaimer, I'm not a therapist, but
You're mine, but okay, yeah.
there is a psychology around money. And if you can remember that your report, those are numbers. The numbers aren't what scare you, it's the story behind what's, I'm shy and I don't know how to sell, and that's why my numbers are horrible. Well, those are your action items. I was in a horrible marriage and my husband did all the money. Well, you need to educate yourself on the money. But if you can look at your fear, it will give you the action item around, what's the next thing that you need to do to leave the fear behind, so
Right.
to speak.
Yeah.
Because the concepts, everyone can understand the concepts. I believe that. The basic concepts, everyone can believe or understand.
Right.
And
Right.
everyone can change. We can change anything at any time, in any second, with any part of our life.
Yes.
And
Amen.
the same
to
is
that.
true for your finances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd had
So.
years ago, there was somebody and she had a financial piece to her coaching, and it was telling, what are those stories, right? So the story I'm telling myself is that I can't make money because I don't have a college degree. And the truth of the matter is, I'm smarter than most. I'm more driven than many. I'm right. I mean, so what are those stories? And that's part of the limiting belief work even that I do is with others is, what is that story we're telling ourselves? Because it can keep us so stuck. And when we really look at those numbers and get really clear on it, it's amazing how things can reveal themselves, right? And then
And one of the reassuring, encouraging things about tracking your numbers is that you can watch them change. So we start today and it looks a certain way, and we say, I'm afraid to speak, but I'm going to learn how to speak on stage. And you get on stage and you get 2 clients, and now your sales is up $2,000. And so there's a direct correlation to what you're seeing happen in your financials to the actions that you're taking. And so that can be encouraging too, that you can change it and you can focus on the next tomorrow and the next day and what's going on. And so I think that's a really cool thing about numbers and financials too, that they can be encouraging and show good change.
Right. Oh, 100%. I think that, like I said, even when I had looked before and the numbers had been telling me, the numbers told me the true story, not the story that I had made up in my head without actually looking at the things. And I think it's so important to
That's
have
right.
somebody right, who is in your corner and doing the books. And again, like I said earlier, it's, Nichelle's in her lane of brilliance. We all need to stay in our lanes of brilliance, whether it's coaching or one of the other things that, our listeners are doing. That's where your brilliance is. And so having somebody else to be able to put the other pieces together so that basically, I think the other thing that I think I've heard you suggest too is the idea of sitting down. I don't know whether it's weekly or monthly or what you would suggest to pull that report, to look at that P&L, to see how was this month compared to last month or this year compared to last year. Any final thoughts on something like that?
Yes, I would definitely do it monthly, and here's the key reason why. Things are changing quickly and rapidly, so you don't want to, a lot of people will look at the end of the year, how did I do for the whole year, but you take away your ability to take action and change it before year end if you're only looking at it year end. So I do recommend monthly. Another aspect is that part of bookkeeping is downloading transactions and reconciling to the bank. And that piece ensures that everything that's in your report is accurate and true. And bank statements come once a month. And so that's a real ideal time to look at your numbers. I know as entrepreneurs, we get up in the morning, we check the bank, we make sure it's not negative, and we do some of that oversight cash flow type things. But actually looking at the financials and seeing where you are versus budget and things like that, I would recommend monthly. To your comment before, the empowerment doesn't come from doing the bookkeeping. Mm-hmm. The bookkeeping itself is an admin task, if you will. And so if you're a busy entrepreneur, you shouldn't be doing it yourself. The power is not in actually doing the bookkeeping. The power is in having the financials. So if you have an hour to do finance, you're much better off to spend that hour looking at your financial statements and evaluating your next step than taking that hour to actually download transactions and reconcile.
Yes.
And there is a certain training that goes with bookkeeping and accounting. So entrepreneurs sometimes don't have that training. And so what I'm trying to say is sometimes when you do your own bookkeeping, you're creating more chaos than you are actually empowering yourself.
Right.
I can say that.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly on that. Wholeheartedly, that's in my humble opinion, the first thing you need to bring on to have somebody doing that. Speaking of bringing people on, where can people find you? If somebody is like, yes, I definitely need some help here, where would they go to connect with you, Nichelle? So
we have an email. The address is connect@tevabookkeeping.com, and it comes straight to me, so we will answer right away. And I always love to get emails and just reach out and say, I'd love to talk to you about what's going on in your bookkeeping space. What problems are you having? And, how can we help you? Like I said before, I care, and so I'm happy to talk to you and give you advice. And if you want to go off and take that advice, that's great. Or if you would like us to help you by doing bookkeeping services and so on, I'm happy to do that too. I think it's important I work with my clients as far as I don't just hand them financial statements, because it's great that you have the financial statements, but if you don't know what you're looking at or what you're doing, you're going to hit a wall at some point. So I'm always happy to talk to my clients about financials and what I see as far as trending or where they should look. So that's another piece that we offer too, which is a little different than some bookkeeping companies that just send you an email, your financials are done.
Here's
Have
the
a
link.
Nice day. Right.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Well, Nichelle, thank you for coming on today and sharing some quick, easy tips and just some knowledge with our listeners to empower themselves with their finances, with their numbers, with their bookkeeping. Yeah, it's great.
Wow.
Wonderful. Absolutely. So
Thank you
again,
for having me.
yeah,
This is fun.
absolutely. For those who are listening, again, Nichelle will be at Faith Fueled. She'll be there and ready to answer any questions. She and I will be talking from the stage for a little bit as well about some of the number pieces. Don't let the numbers scare you. Empower yourselves with them. Reach out to Nichelle. I will put all of her information in the show notes. So the email address she just talked about, the website, and be sure to connect with her and get your finances in order. Faith Fueled, like I said, is coming up February 27th of 2026. We'd love to see you there. Also, if you would like to subscribe to yesicanliving.com, we send out a weekly email with our podcast updates. We've got blog posts from some of our writers and all the other information that's coming up. So thank you so much for taking time to be with us today and sharing your day. Until next time, we hope you have a great day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening to Yes, I Can Living. If today's episode spoke to you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. And if you're craving deeper connection and real conversation, I'd love to invite you to the table, our community of faith-fueled women building businesses and lives they love. Go to yesicanliving.com and click on The Table. See you there.